Compass Mining is your trusted partner in Bitcoin mining. Whether you're investing in one machine or thousands, our customizable solutions are tailored to meet your needs. We are your experts in Bitcoin mining, offering a platform where individuals and businesses can purchase hardware, host machines, and access a range of ancillary Bitcoin mining services. We also specialize in large-scale site development and data center operations. Discover more at compassmining.io and see how we can power your success today. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel McNallie Money, the official home of power mining analysis. Bitcoin and the miners are in the green today, once again supporting this roller coaster feeling many of us are having on our Bitcoin mining investment journey. That's what we're going to be talking about in today's video. In addition to that, you guys, we've got some big updates and news we wanted to share. Before we get into it, take a second, hit the like button. Big help to myself and the channel. If you're not already subscribed, McNallie Money, feel free to join and let us know in the comments section below. Are you managing to hold strong? Have you sold out of your Bitcoin mining positions? And what is your outlook for the remainder of 2025? Now, with that being said, let's get into today's video. Okay, Anthony, here we are Wednesday morning, an earlier podcast today. We're sure getting excited. We've got Mining Disrupt coming up next week in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. This is my first time to the state. Looking very forward to some Bitcoin mining content. You and I are both going to be speaking at the event and some warmer weather. So with that being said, Anthony, things are looking good in the market today. Green for Bitcoin, we're up in the 84,750 range, so getting close to that milestone 85,000 US once again. The Bitcoin miners refreshingly following suit today. I think all of them but one maybe in the green right now, looking very strong for the sector. That's going to be this roller coaster of emotions theme we're talking about throughout today's presentation. And we've got some great voices or clips from the crypto Twitter community as well.
Yeah, a relatively good day today. Bitcoin's moving upwards, and even since we've downloaded the last Bitcoin price, it's increased and heading towards 85,000. We want it to obviously get back on track. We've had a pullback of about 30% since it reached its all-time high back in January, 109,500. So at the moment, it's still great from where it was 15 months ago, but we want to get back to those highs. And also we know the Bitcoin miners want the Bitcoin price to get back to those highs to give them that little bit more margin, because in this quarter compared to the previous quarter, it's going to be challenging, and with like literally 12 days left of the end of the month. Before the next earnings comes out, it's going to be a difficult period for the miners, especially as we consider 2025 to be a bull cycle year.
Most definitely. And we've talked about the impacts of some of those network metrics, the difficulty, the global hash rate. We did a great episode on that yesterday. We've also talked about the impacts of hash price, Anthony. And as you say, really squeezing the margins on these miners, not to mention the FASB accounting rules. If we're not, I think you said at 93,000 by the end of the quarter, or in about 12 days, as you say. So with that being said, this is where it gets interesting. We've seen so many comments recently, so many discussions, texts, DMs, saying either I'm loving this, I'm averaging down on my positions, this is the biggest gift, greatest opportunity ever, or what are you guys doing? How are we still talking about the miners? This sector is down and out, and the bull run is behind us. We've talked about this bull bear mentality, Anthony. You and I think we're still early in this bull run, and we've got some big names in the crypto Twitter community that are supporting that as well. So Mike Alfred came out this morning posting an image of IREN. It was up 10.3% earlier today, has pulled back, I think, into the 7 or 8% range now, basically stating Mr. Market once again doing its thing. If you let price action guide your feelings and beliefs, you'll be whipsawed and left without a position at exactly the wrong time. a story as old as time, essentially mirroring Warren Buffett's famous line, being greedy when others are fearful and fearful when others are greedy. So this is one side of the equation here, Anthony. We also saw our friend Umbai Sam, he's an analyst in the Miner Madness competition, talking about IREN as well, saying he'll never give up. Dear Mr. Market. So what's your take on this, Anthony? People that are averaging down in this position right now?
Yeah, I mean, you've got to look at, I mean, you've raised IREN there. So, we can quite clearly state that of all the miners in North America, nobody is achieving the cost of a Bitcoin to mine anywhere near where IREN are managing to do it. In the last quarter of 2024, I calculated just from their cash costs, they were mining a coin around about $40,000 when the price was averaging $84,000. Now, if you add depreciation onto that, they were still mining at a significant margin compared to their nearest rivals, which were effectively the likes of CleanSpark, CIFR Mining, Riot Platforms. Yes, IREN sell their Bitcoin on a daily basis, and maybe that's one factor that the markets look at there. But in terms of growth, in terms of operational performance, not many compete with IREN. They build great facilities. They had the highest percentage hash rate increase in 2024. They grew 400%. They're growing from 31 exahash, which they achieved before the date of their target, and they're growing to 50 by the end of June 2025. And at the same time as doing that, they're growing a big HPC business as well. So I do like IREN as a company. One of my biggest holdings, full disclosure. And I can understand how these messages are coming out there. I mean, Mike Alford is a director of IREN, so obviously that's very close to his heart at the moment. And he's very been in the market a long time and understands some of the issues around these stocks. But we mentioned the Bitcoin price yesterday, and you've got to remember, that it's not just Bitcoin price on its own. Bitcoin price takes account of everything else that's going around the markets in terms of inflation, in terms of the value of the dollar, in terms of policy that the White House decide, etc., etc. So there are many factors, many macroeconomic factors. We've got a couple of world wars going on at the moment as well that need to be resolved, and this isn't helping the macroeconomic position. It's not helping Bitcoin. So once things start to stabilize, I think what you'll see is some of these mining stocks, the really good performers, will start to recover and get back to where they were. And I remember IREN 12 months ago, back in June last year, I think got to about $15.50. So, it's probably 50% off where it reached its all-time high. So there's plenty of potential to get back to those levels.
Yeah, there certainly is. And it's really difficult to think back to IREN, to CleanSpark, and consider these companies are worth half of what they are basically 12 months ago today. And you look at all the developments, the press releases, the evolution of these stocks over the past 12 months, it's definitely a head scratcher, Anthony. We've been through a few cycles now. We talk about the volatility here as a feature rather than a flaw or bug with Bitcoin, but it seems people get into this space, they see a 20-30% drawdown, and they really start to panic. We've all heard the expression buy low, sell high, but it seems as these prices continue to go lower and lower, people are less and less inclined to buy, which is the exact opposite of what you should be doing if you're following that buy low, sell high strategy. Now, on the other side of the coin, Anthony, we've seen some big names again on the crypto Twitter community. Stock Trader Max, this one got nearly 190,000 impressions, talking about his decision to essentially exit his CleanSpark position at a large loss. He's down 42% on this position. This was a large position, talking about the fact that he feels he can no longer support the organization. He's not going to continue to buy shares or average down if management doesn't do the same. And he currently feels there's better opportunities, better setups in other sectors, in other names, as opposed to CleanSpark, which you just mentioned, second to IREN essentially in terms of efficiency and cost to mine.
Yeah, and if you look at it face value, he's absolutely right. I mean, any person who'd be buying into CleanSpark in the last sort of 13, 14 months is going to be scratching their heads at why the price is down out there. There's been no significant bad news about CleanSpark. Yes, we've discussed about the directors selling shares, but that's a lot of directors have sold shares over the last few years. CleanSpark grew their business, very well using the ATM offerings for the last sort of 2 to 3 years. Grew from like 2 exahash all the way up to 40 exahash. They're mining over 20 Bitcoin a day. They're growing to over 50 exahash like IREN by the end of June. And they've got a hodl over 10,000 Bitcoin, and only the likes of, in terms of Bitcoin miners, Marathon Digital and Riot Platforms have more Bitcoin on the balance sheet. So it is a bit of a head scratcher, but I can understand when you've positions down 42%, and there are other sectors out there that may be less volatile. This is an open and honest, tweet to the community, just to express his feelings on how he's found it over the last year. And this happened in 2022 as well. We had, during that bear cycle, many of us sort of like kept going through the bear cycle, and realizing Bitcoin moves in cyclical ways, over the 4 years. Every cycle. But a lot of people in 2022 just left the space altogether. People I'd looked up to in 2021, the end of 2020, when I started doing what I'm doing now, some really big names in the space out there left it and haven't come back. So, we've said very clearly, this is not for everyone. This is a very volatile space. Bitcoin is volatile, and yet Bitcoin moves maybe 2-3%. On big days, but the mining stocks can move, 10, 15, 20, 30% in a day without any reason, other than the fact that there might be a news item out there, not even related to Bitcoin, but has an impact. It could be a tariff, it could be an impact on what's happening in Ukraine or in the Middle East. And so these sorts of news stories are not just affecting, the global markets, they're affecting Bitcoin as well. And we've seen a lot of people leave the space. We've noticed that. We've noticed that through the fact that how many people are tuning into, what we're providing and we've provided literally on a daily basis since we started this platform, 15 months ago.
Compass Mining makes Bitcoin mining accessible to everyone. Start mining in as little as 48 hours with our turnkey hardware, online and mining directly to your Bitcoin wallet within 2 business days. Find out more at compassmining.io and get started now. Yeah, you bring up a good point, and we're not alone there, Anthony. We've seen many of the channels in the space slow down or cease to exist. We've also seen from Bitcoin Mining Stock Guy, the actual activity, involvement, posts, discussions in the miner mafia has dropped significantly as well. So it's interesting. It's very difficult to separate emotions from your gut feelings here when you're trading. That's why this sector, like you say, isn't for everyone. But as they say, Anthony, for every buyer, there needs to be a seller and vice versa. So just as we're convinced and bullish on the Bitcoin sector, there's an equal and opposite force that is bearish and not convinced on the Bitcoin sector. And ultimately, you need to decide that for yourself. And it's that conviction that gets you through these difficult times. So with that being said, you guys, we would love to know in the comment section, which side of the fence are you on here? Are you taking this as an opportunity to get some great companies at a big discount, or are you looking at other opportunities in other sectors and maybe have given up on the mining sector for now. We'd be curious to hear your thoughts. Now, we wanted to take a step back from there, Anthony. You mentioned the geopolitical tension, some of the macro factors going on here as well. We talk a lot about Bitcoin mining, but obviously we're not oblivious, and Bitcoin does not operate in a vacuum. So we've seen some great steps from the current Trump administration in their first 3 months in office. Listed here, courtesy of Max TFSA, you can see launching a national crypto stockpile. That's currently going through or working through at a federal and state level, the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve. We've talked about all the future Bitcoin being mined in the United States. This is a point a lot of people don't talk about, but this was clearly set out by Donald Trump. And one of the reasons we're so excited about these US-based Bitcoin miners, as this is a big part of that list or commitment. He's dismissed the SEC chair, Gary Gensler, and of course created this Crypto Advocacy Council headed by Senator Lummis, which we've met and talked to multiple times at these conferences. So, Anthony, a lot of bullish factors going on for Bitcoin. Very positive for the miners, as you said, but overall, they're not able to escape this macro tension we're seeing.
No, you raised some very good points there, and some of those things have been really promising and delivered in that short space of time. Add to that the fact that the ETFs came out in 2024; they were approved in January, and during 2024, record amounts of Bitcoin were purchased by the ETFs all the way through the year. However, in 2025, we've sort of seen record Bitcoin being sold by the ETFs as well at the same time now. So that's coming down there. The thing is, Trump has delivered on the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. And back on March the 6th, he signed an executive order effectively establishing the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve, effectively said that the government would hold Bitcoin from criminal and civil forfeitures as a designated reserve asset. So they had about 200,000 already there. The plan was to look at 200,000 per year over the next 5 years, create this 1 million Bitcoin reserve there. So they're going to use that first 200,000 that's been forfeited to create that. However, what you must also remember, some of the US policies under the current administration have been driving market volatility through aggressive tariffs and economic uncertainty. I mean, literally the day or the 2 days before the inauguration, there was the dinner at which there was announced, the Trump coin, the Melania coin. And although it was like, it's a fun thing, what happened to potential people who invested in those? I mean, the price rose on in the first few hours and then soon came crashing back down to earth, maybe 12, 13 hours later. So, there are certain things that have happened that have sort of taken away or tainted some of those promises that were achieved in that early months there. And with this, economic uncertainty, and also the fact that the dollar has also lost its dominance. There's been some disruption in trade. This has provided some instability, not just in the US, but worldwide, and that's affecting the US market. So as much as we want to highlight all the positive things, and there are, some really good positive things you highlight there, we need to have that balanced view to say, actually, there's some other areas that still need to be addressed. And we want the calm, before the next storm, with the markets, and also with the fact that, as Bitcoin follows the markets, the Bitcoin price can rally and effectively help the miners.
Yeah, you bring up a great point there, Anthony, and we heard a very similar feeling from Anthony Scaramucci in New York at the Bitcoin Investor Week, essentially saying you cannot treat a politician or really any person like a buffet and just pick and choose what you take. You get the whole package together. Donald Trump may have some very favorable policy towards Bitcoin or crypto or whatever the case is, but as you say, it comes as a basket, and some of these other characteristics are definitely causing volatility in the market. You mentioned the crypto summit, the dinner there, and the Trump coin. Those are the type of things in my mind that break trust with the Bitcoin and crypto community and are actually damaging to the overall adoption of Bitcoin. So you do bring up some fair points. And again, important to have that balanced outlook. So we've got a busy week coming up next week. I mentioned we'll be in Fort Lauderdale for Mining Disrupt. Before that, though, Anthony, we've got some big interviews on the channel. Tomorrow, we've got Fortress. We were supposed to have Bit Digital on Friday, but great news, we were actually able to pull that one forward as well. So Sam Tabar, Bit Digital, going to be on the program tomorrow. We'll be putting that one out shortly after. And then a great interview with Fortress following that. Big week ahead, big interviews ahead, and a lot to discuss with Sam.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to having Sam on. Always brings a lot of good positivity with what they're doing at Bit Digital there, and we'll get some good points from Sam tomorrow, and hopefully lead the conversation, as to why they're focused, now really on the HPC side of the business and driving those earnings to achieve their target 100 million a year. Annualized revenue.
Yeah, that's great. And speaking of HPC AI, that's actually something we're actively working on the website as well, as improving the metrics, visibility into those revenue streams and sides of the business or the Bitcoin miners as well. Speaking of the website, the other thing we're doing there, Miner Madness 2.0, you've worked your way up to second position, Anthony. I think there's 8 or 9 trading days left, depending if you include today or not. This has been a great competition to really show the importance of managing downside risk. The first competition, Q4, I think everyone was in the green. It was all roses, rainbows. This one, everyone's in the red, and it's really about avoiding those big losers because you had to pick these 3 stocks in advance. So I'll let you talk to that. I also wanted to put a quick note in. We're currently planning Miner Madness 3.0. That's going to be launching on April 11th, and details about that through our newsletter.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a good competition. Unfortunately, everybody in the competition is at least 20% down on their initial notional investment of $300. So the leader at the moment has a return on the $300 of about $238.55 at the last time I looked. And that's not great. I think not everybody was in positive territory in the first competition, but I would say 96% of people were in positive territory. But we had that great run. I mean, bear in mind, the last quarter of 2024, we had the election, we had Bitcoin rising to 108,500 in December. Everything was positive there. The mining stocks also picked up quite nicely. And as we've seen that 30% pullback in Bitcoin price, remember, I explained to you, the miners are more volatile than Bitcoin. We've seen a lot of these mining stocks, a lot of these household names, the big names, are literally, 35, 40, 45% down year to date. So more volatile than the Bitcoin price. These last couple of days, we've started seeing some green shoots. So we had a big drop just over a week ago, and we started to basically, the Bitcoin price has started to sort of like manage in that space between sort of 81, 84,000. And today we're seeing it pick up towards 85,000. So that might give some green shoots to those people who want to enter the next competition, which will start, literally, in a couple of weeks' time in early April. And we'll talk about that in a second. But as from a competition perspective, it's been a great competition. This was our biggest competition. We had far more people join Miner Madness 2.0, and we're looking to even grow that further when we announce Miner Madness 3.0, which will be all the rules and entries will be in the next newsletter, which will be out this weekend.
Yeah, keep an eye out for that one, Anthony. It's going to have where you can sign up, the rules of the competition, the timelines, the deadline, all of that information in our newsletter. Again, you can sign up on the website, 100% free to do, you guys, and you'll get the weekly updates throughout the competition itself. Yeah, it's unfortunate, Anthony, the miners are down like that. The competition for Miner Madness 2.0 doesn't look great right now, but keep in mind, you guys, even blue chip giants like Nvidia right now, they were trading above 150 a couple months ago. Nvidia today is 117, so about a 20% drop there, if not more as well. So with that being said, you guys, a lot of volatility, really a torn response in terms of the crypto retail investment community on whether this is a great opportunity or the tail end of the bull cycle. Your guess is as good as ours, but like we say, do your due diligence, never use a single metric, you guys, and make sure you've got that long-term conviction. Anthony, I'll pass it back to you for any closing thoughts. Thanks so much for watching.
Yeah, as I say, I just looking at the analyst board as well. One thing I will highlight is if you look at the analyst leaderboard and look at the sort of like the top 7, we have 7 of the analysts in the top 50 in the overall competition. So half the analysts are in that top 50. Well over 360 entries in this one there. So that's a healthy sign that tells you, some people are making the right choices. But I'll tell you now, when you're entering these competitions for 3 months, it's not always the miner that you think is going to be your long-term aspiration. This is a 3-month competition, so you need to think about which miners can really change over that short period of time. And I used that tactic when I looked at this particular competition compared to maybe when I initially picked my selections for miner Magda Swan. So, look at the short-term positions and some of these miners and where you think they might grow. And, it looks like, if things stay as they are, using that strategy to select miners I felt would do well over a short period of time, maybe not always my long-term picks. I know if I was told today, where do you see, miners over the next 2 years, that might be 3 different selections of miners. It might not be, but it might, I might have to think a little bit more about which miners I think would do better over the 3 years. And especially as you see miners now moving into HPC and the sort of the build-up of that there, if that maintains its momentum, I'd certainly be looking at miners that had a HPC strategy if I was selecting from longer term. But a short term, you've got to sort of really sort of think of it, the next 3 months and not the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, you've got to play the game for what it is, Anthony. I was able to win the analyst leaderboard in the first iteration. You're looking very good in the second iteration. We'll see if we can get a three-peat for Power Mining Analysis in Miner Madness 3.0. So some great commentary today, you guys. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below, and we'll catch up with you tomorrow.